In this video, we are going to be looking into the fastest mech of its age, and the fastest machine both in technical readout 3025 and technical readout 2750. Sadly, it was wildly unsuccessful in its time, but this Battlemech would inspire another machine by the same name after it became impossible to continue to support it. Named as the messenger of the Olympian gods, this elegant vehicle has a legacy that goes beyond its light frame. Without further delay, let's begin to talk about Irian Battlemech Unlimited's Hermes. A light mech weighing in at 30 tons, the Hermes, for its time, pushed the barriers of what was possible for military hardware in some respects, and is a controversial mech as a result, especially with its original commissioner, the SLDF. Developed during the golden age of the Star League, it was commissioned in 2632. Though this would be rushed into service at behest of the impatient Star League, and was delivered in record time by Irian, the first models would see a series of defects that technicians would be forced to deal with afterwards, mostly involving faulty onboard wiring and electronic systems. These problems were extensive, along with its lack of firepower, making these machines deeply unpopular with the Mechwarriors needing to rely on them to survive in the brutality of warfare in the Inner Sphere, even during this golden age. The result was that it was only produced for approximately 20 years, before the Star League ceased procurement of this Battlemech. These would be taken out of frontline service by the SLDF shortly after, and many Hermes found themselves in storage. The rush to get this product to market really created most of these issues, as in reality, the Hermes has a series of virtues for the role it was designed for. Ironically, the Hermes arrived too fast to stay in service long. Though perhaps in a strange twist of fate, this Battlemech would live on through the Hermes too, and that would see immense and extensive usage during the Succession Wars. The most common variant designed for the SLDF is the HER-1S, which did see a major revision at one point without changing its designation, as there was one version which was first developed that uses standard armor, but the bulk of Hermes from this era came with Jolasa 328 ferrule fibrous plating. Another note is that the onboard targeting system is considered, when working properly, to be top of the line. Powered by the substantial 14.5-ton GM 270 Fusion standard engine, the Hermes 1S can obtain a maximum speed of 151 km per hour, or 14 hexes in the tabletop game. To say that this is adequate would be a stunning understatement. In fact, among mechs not possessing a mask or supercharger from the Inner Sphere, this is one of the fastest designs in the history of the setting, and from a mech without an XL engine. It uses its speed for reconnaissance purposes, and is able to get out of almost any situation where it has access to even half of its maneuvering, increasing its survivability. This overall running performance even helps it when it's forced into combat situations, being able to circumvent enemy positions and fire on flanks, exposed plating, or the rears of mechs and vehicles that have become its targets. Due to its extremely limited heat generation, there was, and is, no need for cooling upgrades on the Hermes 1S. It has a stock 10 heat sinks, which, provided the engine is not damaged, will not be overwhelmed by onboard systems. When it comes to its offensive capabilities, the Hermes is not served particularly well. Once all of its other factors are taken into account, it has only 3 tons to spend on those systems, but the weight, despite being incredibly limited, is spent wisely. To start with, it has a pair of Helm 5 medium lasers, which hit targets hard enough and are its primary weapon systems. To back this up, it has an Olympian Flamethrower, which subtly does more work than one might imagine. Much like the Hermes 2, its successor, it can use these to burn down areas, such as buildings or forests, in order to generate smoke and obscure sensors, giving it a chance to make its escape. And this doesn't even touch on the terror that this causes to infantry formations having to face the Hermes. One thing which goes unspoken about the Hermes that perhaps needs more attention is that it is incredibly well defended by 5 tons of ferrule fibrous armor plating, giving it 90 points of value in-game. While this doesn't necessarily seem like much, that makes it very hard to knock out, at least from the kind of opposition that might dare to chase after it or engage it in the fast life or death battles that light mechs fight in. It is able to contribute this much to protection due to the endo-steel internal structure on board, used to give it 1.5 tons of extra armor, which tragically is lost later for its downgrade. The Hermes is an incredibly fast battlemech, making even the Locust stall to catch its breath, and among its peers in 2750 is only outrun, for short bursts exclusively, by the Mercury. It combines this incredible running ability with its decent, but undergun shooting function. Overall, it's a mech that cannot rely on its guns to win in a straight fight, but even less than most other machines in the same weight class. It's not meant to be a frontline fighter, and has 5 tons of a rare armor type in order to actually help it escape such a situation. It is only the herald of the SLDF's arrival, not necessarily its wrath, after all. It's still capable of putting up a fight if needed when using its speed as a sword and shield, but this places the vehicle in extreme risk. Despite the Hermes being a rarity from the Star League era to the end of the Succession Wars, there are a handful of variants to cover in this video, as well as an important critique I have of how some of these variants came about, which is a part of a larger video that I may do at a later date. The Hermes 1A is the downgraded model that managed to slink its way through the dying days of the Star League and into the Succession Wars. It's fantastically uncommon, and most examples are heavily dependent on salvaged components to stay in operation, though some did so until the Hermes went back into production. However, other examples would survive through Comstar. The 1A is a disaster all the same. It loses its endo steel and ferrule fibers, as well as 1.5 tons of armor, dropping its protection to less than that of a Locust. While it can still perform some of its original tasks, it's so fragile that it can meet its end at the hands of even a lucky shot potentially. This is known as the Royal Hermes, which is an affront to really the integrity of the setting. Established as being pulled from frontline production in TRO 2750 and TRO 3039, as well as being pulled from active service with a relatively short production run, it begs the question, why would there be a Royal variant at all, as described in Operation Klondike? When did they have time to make the Royal variant if it was out of production, despite being listed as an Irian-engineered upgrade for the Hermes? Why would they do this in 2740? Why was this commissioned when the Hermes had been mostly pulled from service and deactivated? Some of these Royal variants could be justified under some circumstances, but it really feels like some of them are bolted onto a setting which really cannot handle them and doesn't really need them. This abomination comes with an XL engine, in order to maximize its efficiency and completely lose the point of most of TRO 2750 and 3025's designs. It doubles its medium laser count, and doubles the number of flamers, and of course installs a mask, in order to make it even faster. It also contains double heat sinks. The idea the Star League made this design in the face of all other lore surrounding this mech, as mentioned prior, is preposterous, and the concept is heavily min-maxed to the point where it doesn't match the era where it would have been designed to see action. Which it really wouldn't and couldn't have seen action anyway, as no one was meaningfully deploying these until the first Succession War, where they were mostly destroyed. This Royal variant is revisionist in the extreme, and you'll need to forgive my thoughts being displayed here on the matter, as it bends all reasoning. A lot. The Hermes 3S is manufactured by Irian, its original developer, and would be exported during the clan invasion. It's more of an upgrade of the HER-1A rather than the 1S, despite being given an S at the end of its designation. Removing the Flamethrower on board and reducing its armor to 2.5 tons of ferrule fibrous, the 3S is given a mask to supplement its engine, increasing its maximum speed to a blinding 194 km per hour for short bursts. It also contains a Beagle active probe to assist its recon mission. The problem is, 2.5 tons of armor, even as ferrofibrous, is absolutely abysmal, making it one of the least survivable mechs ever made, should it be cornered. Worse, should a lucky hit just happen to land, even from a moderately sized weapon like an AC-10, it can cause untold damage to this variant. Arium would go back to the drawing board several times over the decades that followed, but this would be the model that would see the clan invasion. Given clan targeting systems, these pilots would need a lot of luck, as well as a goodwill in place for their families to not have to suffer through the legal paperwork surrounding their final wishes. The Hermes is a mech which in its original form performed to an incredible degree despite having a bad reputation among its pilots, and it was only truly failed by teething problems. It is unfortunately poorly served by its Succession Wars downgrade package, as well as its pitiful clan invasion model. Though variants such as the HER-4S would later appear to help reclaim some of its lost honor, for most of its history it has either been unjustly listed as a dud, or it is painfully a dud. I wish I could characterize a mech so fantastically named after the gods' messengers in a better light, but sometimes a spade is a spade. Thank you for joining me here today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. There is new content on this channel very frequently, and I'd appreciate your support. Also, a huge thank you to all of the YouTube members who support this channel, as these videos are only possible because of viewers like you. With that, I will catch everyone in the comment section below.